Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm really excited today to try something kind of new, and I wanted to share it with everybody and just to introduce some new ideas in different ways you can use ephemera and paint and mixed media and odds and ends of paper. So I think first I should put on my apron because although I don't usually get paint on myself. I'm kind of a careful painter and a careful cook. I usually don't wear an apron when I cook either because I tend to do things at arm's length and I don't splash around a lot. However, so I'm going to switch over to my overhead camera and show you what I've pulled out in the way of paper and the paints that I'm going to use. This is my plan anyway, and you know how plans go, they can change quickly. So let's just get started on that, and I hope you enjoy it because I think it will be really fun. I think you'll get some new ideas from it and maybe some things that you want to try. Just like try everything. Okay, this is just a few things that I've pulled out here. Some papers, there's a little green fairy, some dots, this little checklist thing I got from somewhere, and some bits of ephemera. This is probably not all I'm going to be using, but I thought I would start with this. This is it looks like from a mattress, but it was from an old mattress, so, you know, you can kind of tell by looking at it. And I'm also going to use this piece of, what do you call this stuff? I need to get my vocabulary up here. It's a multi-palette. It's a palette for acrylic paints, basically. And I also wanted to get some words. So I'm going to start with this because it'll give me something already. So I'm going to just cut some words here, which you can do. This is from an old hymn book, and I'm planning to use that as well. So there's one of my little words. And let's see, I have some others here, other pages, which are never right where you want them. And I think I'll do dancing or a lesson. I like a lesson. And this is from an old book that I inherited, I guess you could say. It was at my parents' farm when we cleaned everything out after my mom passed away, which was a few years ago. And I discovered it again because you know how it is when you move, you pack things away, and for a day when you can actually pay attention to it and whatever. And then, 3 years go by and suddenly you go, oh yeah, that box. So I've dug that box out of the closet and pulled out this book, and lo and behold, it had belonged to my grandfather. His name is in front, and it's from 19 something early. Let me just look. You can see why I haven't tried to revive it. It's pretty wrecked. J.S. Dewar was my grandfather, and it was published in 1898. 1898. So it's well over 100 years old, which I think is pretty cool. I love old books, even if I don't read them. And what's really interesting, because I'm a writer myself, is how the language has changed over the time, how the usage is so different. This one says knowledge. I'd like to actually have some larger words, but I'm only working on this sketchbook, so It's not all that big anyway. Here's one that says unfortunate moment, which is kind of enigmatic. I think that's enough for those. So let's move this, and I'll just put that over there because I want to start putting down some paper and whatnot. And I think what I'll do is just grab a piece of that and take some of this, which I just cut off stuff off of, like that, and also here. And I think I'm just going to start and then go from there. So what I've got here is a matte gel and iridescent medium, which I may or may not use, and some this matte medium, which I think I maybe start with, and then acrylic, white acrylic paint and black acrylic paint, and these other colors called light coral. Isn't that gorgeous? This one is called light pink, which is kind of almost a, well, it's in the same family. It's very warm. And this is Naples yellow. And this doesn't look like Naples yellow to me, but it is what it is. And it just, to me, it looks like a coral color. And then I've got white, and I've got my brushes here. And I'll just put them like that. I've got my handy rag because it's silly not to have one. Let's make a little room here. I'm going to try this one first. I don't think I've used it before in this capacity. Ooh, too much water in the brush. So what you do about that is just squeeze it from the back end. So it'll soak. See, it's all wet here now. You can soak it in from that side. Yeah, it's still a bit wet, but that's okay. So I'll go over it, and I wonder what the best way to do this is. So my plan here is just to collage the whole page, and then we're going to do some painting on it. Which entails getting out brushes and color and everything else, but this is to stick the pieces down, and then I'll have to let them dry, of course. Just make sure it's all kind of dampened with the gel. I'm going to put some on here so I can just pick it up. All right, now I've got some other pieces here, so let's start putting some of those in. This is the mattress thing label, which will end up making it kind of thick, but that's all right. I really don't mind that at all. So this would be collage art with mixed media. So the reason it's mixed media is because it's using paint and paper and probably some other items. I'm not sure what yet. Now, I think I have some gloves here. And make sure this is nice and pressed down. Even these vellum ones, which are wrinkling up. Okay, I think I want something else in that little corner right there. So this should do. What I want to do is let this dry, and then I will start with the paint and see where we go from there. And it is almost completely dry. It's still tacky and it's still dampish on the back, but that's not going to interfere with anything. I could let it dry, you know, completely. This one is a little bit sticky, but I don't think it's really going to be a problem. So what I want to do now is start adding some color by way of paint. I think what I'm going to do first is just really dab on some white and use this fuzzy brush. I'm going to be just kind of liberal here. And well, mainly because I don't have a plan yet. I want to see what happens. Because this paint is a little bit transparent, you can kind of get away with just painting over everything. Which seems a bit kind of a shame, really, because you put all this stuff on here and then you just paint over it. However, I have a piece of paper towel, and I think I'll just take a little bit of it off here and there, so things show a little bit. I could have thinned it down, and maybe that would have been a good way to go, but I didn't, so that's okay. Now I want a bit of color in here. And I think this is going to end up being just kind of abstract. It might be gorgeous, it might be a mess. And while I'm doing this, I want to add some little odds and ends. Things like this that won't get painted over. This is experimentation at its best, because I just had kind of a vague idea and went, okay, let's just do it. So what happens then is you come up to the middle and you go, ugh, not sure about this at all. When it seems to not come together at all, then you go, well, now what? And that's the point where most people throw up their hands and go, I'm no good at this. This is ugly. But the thing is, you have to let go of the outcome, because when you keep working at it, sometimes you just go, I had no idea at the start that it was going to turn out like this. So there's a tip for you. Don't quit in the middle, because every painting has an ugly middle. See, it's not looking too bad. And now just put some stuff on here like this, and gesso over it, or put a little bit more of this matte medium over it, like that. And there's something else I can put in here. This looks good. Need something right in the middle here. Yeah, I like that one. So you might have noticed I got a little bit of this coral paint into my brush. So it's picking up into that. That's okay. So I'm just going to put some more of this over here. If it gets other colors in it, I don't mind. I think that's good. Now I'll throw that in there, and now I want a small brush, and I want to use black paint and just make some trails. Thing is, you can't really tell until you're done because, like I said, sometimes partway in between, you're just gasping because it looks dreadful. But I think this black is just making everything pop. And you can add little marks. Notice how I'm just sort of twisting the brush. Oh, picked up some green there. Now I'm just going to add some little dots here and there, little marks. Hopefully you just kind of pull it all together. So keep in mind that the purpose of this exercise is solely experimentation. I wanted to try this technique of collaging and then painting and then collaging some more and just get the feel of it. So I just, it's an experiment, and that makes it a success, because if you go, okay, it's supposed to turn into something, and I don't love it, or it didn't turn out like I wanted, or whatever, you don't need to worry about that, because it's totally an experiment. And then you can go, okay, I had a success because my goal was to experiment. I might come back in after it's dry with a pen. And for example, something like this, which, where's something to write on? Just makes a fine black line. And just go around some things like this, which I think would work really well. It's too wet to do right now, so I'm not going to do that. And then also I've got some white paint markers, which I could do the same thing with. I'm a little leery about touching stuff here because it's still so damp. You can just keep going until you go, okay, I'm done, or I had fun, or whatever. And that's about all that you need to do. Please subscribe to my channel and click the little bell so you get the notifications when I have a new video. Be sure to check the information below in the description for some other good things. Also, I would love it if you leave a comment. Have you tried something like this? Are you interested in trying something like this? Please tell me. And also click the like button because that helps the algorithm. And I'll see you next time.